Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also join our Facebook group at Life Transformation Radio Community and never miss an episode by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Overcast, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Pandora, every single place where podcasts can be listened to. You can subscribe to Life Transformation Radio. We also have a YouTube channel, so search us on YouTube at Life Transformation Radio and hit the subscribe button. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can always give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. 1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Vincent James. Vincent, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you, Sean. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
All right. I'm likewise. I'm pumped.
I'm super excited to have you on the show, and I've had quite a few musicians on the show. People are really interested in what you guys do and the transformations that you guys have gone through. And I'm just excited because you've dove into a world that I think most kids, they watch cartoons, but I think pretty much most kids probably grew up watching wrestling in the 80s and 90s. At least a lot of my friends did. My family was all into wrestling, so super pumped to dive into that. And then how you transformed. And I know you have an amazing transformational story to tell us today. So with that, man, if you're ready, I'd love to dive in. Absolutely.
Thank you, Sean. So it's funny you mentioned the wrestling connection. It was way back in the middle 1980s. Actually, it was my in-laws at the time. They happened to be really into the WWF and the wrestling. And I was writing songs for various situations, and I saw how interested people were really in this topic. So I wrote a song about it called The Rock and Roll and Wrestling Connection. And the lyrics in the song featured people like Cyndi Lauper, Hulk Hogan, Rowdy Piper, people that were all part of that cultural thing happening at the time. And then I, not knowing any better, I walked it down to the main cable company at the time here in the Philadelphia area, Prism Television, and they were the ones that broadcast all the wrestling matches and a lot of the sporting events here in Philadelphia. And a producer there took a liking to the song, and he decided to make a video out of it. He took clips from the WWF matches, that had Hulk Hogan, Rowdy Piper in it, and Cyndi Lauper as well, who would, make little cameo appearances. And they were all in the video, which was really cool. And then they would broadcast that video on TV a number of times, and then also down at the Philadelphia Spectrum, which is where they had the wrestling matches, in our area. And that was kind of my baptism by fire in the music business. long ago. Learned a lot of lessons at the time. And, sometimes you have to go through some things to figure out what not to do. But it was a great experience. And since then, it's kind of funny, my transformation. When I was in high school, I always wanted to do, I wanted to go to college for music because I wanted to do something music-related, for my career. My parents, however, had more practical ideas in mind, and they steered me towards, an engineering career, and that's where I ended up. And then what ended up happening is over the last 30 years is, I had this internal battle. I have an engineering degree that's putting food on the table, but then I have this music passion on the side that I kept trying. And I just wasn't really quite, able to make something work. And I think part of it was I wasn't really finding what I was really meant to do. I mean, I did, I wrote songs, as I mentioned, for artists. I managed bands. I became an artist myself and putting out a couple of records. I even started writing custom songs for people through a website I've had for a number of years called lovesongs.com, like weddings and anniversaries. I would write custom songs, for couples all around the world. But while I was, pretty good at it, I don't think my heart was 100% in it. I just didn't feel like this is it. This is not what I'm meant to do. And then one day,
gotcha.
One day about 6.5 years ago, I was drawn to a teleseminar. And I don't know if you remember teleseminars. This is before Zoom became the thing. You listen to some training or a call, it would be on the phone. And the title of it was called How Everyone Has a Book Inside Them They Need to Write. And I have to tell you, Sean, I never thought I would write a book because I didn't consider myself an expert in anything. I was an okay songwriter. I was an okay engineer. I wasn't great in my mind on either one because I wasn't focused on one. I was always splitting my time up. But I was drawn to this teleseminar about how everyone has a book inside them they need to write. And I'm on that call, and that's when it happened. It was like a bolt of lightning hit me. Well, what about a book of inspirational stories of how music changed people's lives? And then put that into a book, edit it and publish it, and I would pull stories from musicians and non-musicians from all around the world to do that. And that's when it happened. I got all excited. I jumped up. I ran upstairs to tell my wife about it, and eventually, pulled her in as a co-author. And that's how our whole music education advocacy mission started, that one fateful day in May of 2014. And it's been a crazy ride since.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool, man. So what I want to do is dive into your bio, give some people some links so that they can get a hold of you, even after the show. So the title of this episode is 88 Plus Ways Music Can Change Your Life with musician Vincent James. He has been circulating in the musical world for over 3 decades, first beginning as a songwriting, penning Rock and Roll and Wrestling Connection in the mid-'80s that was made into a music video by Prism Television starring Cyndi Lauper, Hulk Hogan, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Eventually, James elected to go to the artist route and released several recordings, including 2 national singles. Highlights included the humorous Y2K song, which I'd love to know more about, that led at a local Fox News spot, a Billboard review, and an appearance on the nationally syndicated Jenny Jones Show. A few years later, James's single One More Night aired on over 80 radio stations nationwide, landed a spot on the FMQB chart, and launched his transition to Mr. Love Songs. Over the next decade, James wrote dozens of custom love songs for weddings, anniversaries, and other special occasions through his lovesongs.com website. That's right there in the show notes. Make sure you click on that and go check that out, lovesongs.com. James decided to publish a book, co-authored with his wife, Joanne, 88 Plus Ways Music Can Change Your Life, and was first published in June 2015 and featured inspirational music stories about how music changed people's lives. Story contributors include Rick Wakeman from Yes, Vanessa Carlton, Simon Kirk from Bad Company and Free, Bobby Kimball from Toto, Bill Chaplin from Chicago, Rob Hyman and Eric Bazillion from the Hooters, along with hit songwriters Sita Garrett, Billy Steinberg from Madonna, and Bobby Hart. The sequel to 88 Plus Ways Music was published on New Year's Eve 2020 and is entitled 88 More Ways Music Can Change Your Life. Very clever. I love it. So there's lovesongs.com, Facebook, and the LinkedIn links are right there at the end of the show notes. Make sure you click on those. Send him a friend request. Follow him on your favorite social media platform and let him know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. Now, Vincent, the first question that I really want to know is your why. So with everything that you've done, you decided to write that song, you went to the artist, everything you've done, what is your why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think it just comes back to, I've got the music in me and I just can't shake it, Sean. I mean, literally, music has always been so important to me. And the why that's developed into our music education advocacy, which launched our nonprofit, Keep Music Alive, 2 international music holidays, Teach Music Week, and Kids Music Day. The why that drives me there is that waking up every day knowing that we're helping more kids and adults reap the many benefits of playing music, the educational benefits, the therapeutic benefits, and the social benefits of playing music. And that's what drives my wife and I to do everything we do with the book series. The stories inspire more people to play music. The music holidays help more kids and adults start to play music. We reach out to media to talk and share about it so that the media talks about the importance of music education. Literally, it's the first time in my life, Sean, where I've actually stuck to a direction for more than a couple of years. You see through my bio, I've done, tried so many different things that I talked about earlier. But it wasn't until I had that wake-up, about 7 years ago, and music education became my why, became, the reason I get up in the morning to push harder, that I've been able to focus and continually be consistent in the direction that I'm going. And, this is my lifetime mission.
Right. Wow. Love it. Can totally agree with not staying with things for too long and finding one thing that you absolutely love to do and continue to do. The same way. Every 2, 3, 4 years, I'm like, all right, I'm bored. Next.
Yeah,
do something
it's common.
else. What else can I create?
Little thing,
what else can I build?
Right, exactly. You have the shiny little thing off to the left. What's that over there? We call them squirrel moments. And just because we're, because we discovered something, and just because we're probably going to, we might be good at it, doesn't mean we should run off in a different direction. If you want to have success at something, you need to stay at it long enough to build it up large enough, and then once that happens, once you have it to a certain level, then you can start to branch off into some of your other side interests that are most likely parallel to what you're doing, and it'll be a lot easier once you've built up, what you started with.
Yeah, very true. It's funny when you find something that you absolutely love and you're passionate about, more than like all the other shiny things. I mean, you really find something, you're like, oh, this is it. I love it. Yes. This is it. And then you stick with it. And I think it just speaks to how important it is to know who you are, right? To know who you are at your core, I think is very, very important. Because if you know who you are and you know your behavior and you know how you are, I may not stick around for too long. You might be able to build a business that you're like, look, man, I want to exit in like 3 or 4 years. It's kind of how I always do it. So with that in mind, you need to draft an exit plan while you're creating this thing. That way when the time comes, you can be like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Yep. And certainly, serial entrepreneurs, and that's a perfect way to operate. If your mantra is you want to build up a business for 2, 3, 4 years and then sell it and then start another one and repeat, that's absolutely perfect. And some people are, have that in their DNA to do that. In my case, though, I was more just bouncing around from one music thing to another thing without really staying with any one of them long enough to make a true success out of it.
Wow. Yeah. had that happen a couple of times. I feel like if I would have stuck with this one thing just a little bit longer, I could have broke through. Or, man, if I just made this one decision, if I did this one thing different, like I know I could have made it happen, but I just never stuck around long enough to find out.
It's not too late. Whatever it is we're working on today, if you truly believe that this is it, you need to stick with it long enough, and because sometimes the success we're looking for is just over the hill, and sometimes it's also just outside our comfort zone. Sometimes our natural inclinations are holding us back. We're afraid to make that call. We're afraid to reach out to someone. We're afraid of rejection, and we're afraid to maybe learn something new. These are all things we have to get past, and always be asking for help, for more information. Taking that next step and learning from other people that have already been successful. They say success leaves clues. Well, those clues are only valuable if we listen to them.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. The show is all about transformation, and although we go through a lot of different transformations, I'd love to dive in deeper into yours and talk about that transformational moment, the one that really sticks out, that it changed you and put you on the path to what you're doing today.
Well, it was definitely that call, that training call, how everyone has a book inside them they need to write, which, again, I don't even know why. I was pulled. The universe pulled me to listen to that call. And since then, that was the pivotal moment, but since then it's been a gradual transformation. It's hard to change overnight. I'm an introvert by nature. I've been hiding behind a keyboard, piano keyboard, for many years, ready to go out in front. But since I developed my why, and so I really understood and knew it, I've been able to go out on stages and speak. I did a TEDx. I've gone out and spoken at other events. I've done live TV interviews, which a couple of years ago would have been like, there's no way I'm doing that.
All right.
It's nerve-wracking, but your why gets you past it. But you have to keep trying things. This pandemic has been very, tragic for many reasons. The one silver lining for me is it's forced me to go out and talk, on camera. And when before I would always be afraid to, I wouldn't do a Facebook Live to play a song and like music. I wouldn't do a Facebook Live to talk. But last spring I started, this is something for my mission that we have, our why. I need to get more comfortable doing it. And how do we get comfortable doing something, Sean? We practice it. So put that thing on record, go on Facebook Live a couple times a week and just start talking about your mission, what's coming up, what you're doing, until it becomes so comfortable you're not even thinking about it. You got your camera set, you got your background set, you have in your mind what you want to talk about, and it just becomes more comfortable and you get better at it. And then it's because I was doing that I became comfortable enough to do, live TV interviews, which, again, a few years ago would have been like, no, not ready to do it. So it's been a gradual, and learning from our mentors, reading books on self-development, listening to podcasts, and, like yours, if we don't take the time to self-educate ourselves, we're not going to be able to improve, and our mission isn't going to go forward, whether it's a business we're trying to take to the next level or a nonprofit in our case, or whatever it is.
There you go. That's great advice, actually. Really solid advice. There's been a couple of times that I can remember that I've had conversations with people, and it's similar to what you're talking about, and it kind of stood out that they didn't really love it. I don't think they really loved, it was a passion. Like, I like woodworking, or I like doing this other thing, But when it comes to, making money from it and monetizing a passion, everybody talks about turning passion to profits, or turning your pain into profit, monetizing and things. It kind of muddies the water. It kind of just doesn't have that same new car smell, when you When you do something you love, you're like, I just love doing it. Like, I don't want to complicate it. I don't want to, it's like relationships. Relationships can get really complicated between two people. Especially when you start throwing in, like, should we get married? Should we not get married? Oh, my gosh, I just kind of love spending time with you. It's kind of, and I've got kids. It's like, oh, crap. Like, it's kind of complicated, like, life is happening. But the evolution of a person into their passion, which then creates this massive business or this massive movement, sometimes it just creates a huge movement. Some people aren't ready for that. And I listen to some of the people that I coach, and I'm just like, why are you holding yourself back? You can do this. Yeah, I know. Like, are you afraid to be successful? Which I didn't even know was a thing. No idea people were afraid of success. Like, I don't want to be too successful. Yep. And then other people are like, I just don't love it. Like, well, then do something else. Yeah, but I love doing it, but I don't love it enough to, like, be my sole purpose in life. Like,
And that's
if you love something, you got to do it. Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, we all, you have to understand within yourself, what, as you come back to, what is our why? What is the reason you're doing something? What is it that you hope to achieve? And, sometimes really it is just something that should be a hobby, something we should do on the side and enjoy it, and it's perfectly fine. But, if you're willing, if it's deep inside you enough and you're willing to put in the time, effort that it's going to take to make it be something that would be a career, to build it, as a business or a nonprofit, whatever it is, then, and you make that conscious decision, you're going to do it. But if not, recognize it, recognize that, and, don't kid yourself. So often we kid ourselves, Sean, in life. And, I'll be honest, it wasn't until I got older that I, started recognizing that I was kidding myself in a lot of areas. And you start learning, you get a little wiser with age. And I try to, I don't formally coach anyone, but the people that I talk to, and especially young people, I try to give them some of the lessons of my youth and try to help them go on their own path, sooner, so it doesn't take the decade it took me to figure it out. But it's life is a journey, and you have to enjoy the journey and the process you're going through. And if you're not really loving it, then, like you said, you should probably be doing something else, or just continue doing it for fun, and that's perfectly fine.
Yep. No, nothing wrong with that. You got a couple hobbies, you like it. Not really about making money, I think it's pure like that, right? People like baseball cards. I just like collecting them and kind of like just having them. It's kind of something that you do on the side. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you should make a business from this. And then it gets complicated, and that, like, there's nothing complicating about you collecting things. I know people. Yeah. Me and my wife used to run an antique and collectible store. People come in, they love it. Oh, I remember that lunchbox. I had that lunchbox when I was in school. I had one guy. He was a collector. He came in and bought all my lunchboxes, like 20-some-odd lunchboxes with the thermos, and like some of them were He-Man, Transformers, Voltron, Scooby-Doo. Kiss lunchbox was awesome. So, he just loved collecting. He wasn't trying to do anything else. Just loved collecting. And then I saw them all for sale once, and he was frustrated because he didn't sell them. Like, you bought them because you loved them, not to sell. You bought them because you loved them. I was like, go back to that. And
eventually he'll find someone else that, is in the position he was at the time and wants to collect them. And,
Yeah.
I wish I had some of the old stuff that I used to have. Baseball cards from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Worth something.
Might be. The 80s and 90s are worthless, though. They made so many of those that they just flooded the market with them. Everybody's got those ones. Yeah, it seems like from what I remember, 70s tops are pretty good. 60s cards, some of those other ones from the 80s and 90s, they just kind of mass-produced them and kind of flooded. So there's that. So as you've worked through this and you've launched this book, first, where can people get the book?
So the two books, the first one is 88 Plus Ways Music Can Change Your Life, and the second one is 88 More Ways, because the first 88 wasn't enough. 88 More Ways Music Can Change Your Life. They're both available, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble website. I think the Walmart website has it. Books A Million, pretty much any website online that sells books, and eventually we expect to have it physically in the bookstores, and we'll be doing a book tour at some point, hopefully this fall, once the pandemic is clear enough for us to actually go out in person and do that.
Heck yeah. Awesome. So we can just, most people I think go to Amazon or go to Walmart.com, I guess. But very cool. Very cool. Everybody listening right now, go and pick up a copy of that book. I'm telling you, if you're into music, or you know somebody that's into music, this is amazing. I always talk about the songs. I always put out social media posts. I heard this one song that took me back to this one place at this one time, at this one moment. I remember what I was doing. I remember who I was with. I remember what I was saying. I remember what I was wearing. I mean, it's just songs have a way of just capturing an entire moment. Or maybe it's a school dance. Maybe it's an event. Maybe this one song was played at this one event. And you remember that event because of that one song, because of that one moment that happened during that song. And if you have, affirmations, or you have things that you do in the morning, like play that song in the morning, just as a reminder. Maybe it's a reminder of who you are. Maybe it's a reminder of who you've become. But music has a way of doing that. Music has a way of just capturing the essence of a moment. And then every time you hear that song, you're reminded of that one moment. That's what I love. That's what I love a lot.
Yeah, we like to say that music is a magical time machine that brings you back to those special moments. And you can also use music, as you alluded to program your brain. I like to tell people you should create different playlists for different situations. I talk about a Pump It Up playlist, which is songs that you play when you want to be inspired. You're about to go on an important interview.
Yep.
Your assignment for work, or, anytime you want to be uplifted, these are your Pump It Up songs. Then you have a playlist for something I call Chill Out, where you need to relax. You want to be more a therapeutic mood, and you put songs there that put you in that, more of a relaxing mode. And then you have something, we all have situations in life that make us sad, and sometimes we need to just let it out. And the third playlist I talk about is something called a Cry It Out. Songs that, touch you inside and kind of make you feel a little sad, somber. And when you really feel the need that you just need to let it out so you can move past something that happened, you have this Cry It Out playlist. And it's just ways that, we can use music as a utility to help us through different situations, whether we're trying to be inspired, whether we want to relax, or we just need to express ourselves, because of a difficult moment. And it's the beauty of music that's all around us, but we can use it purposefully, to help us in our day-to-day.
Right. That's a good idea. I've got a playlist that I listen to. I'm just jamming out. I've got a worship playlist for worship.
Nice.
And then I've got an entrepreneur one that is kind of like uplifting, and it has some motivational speeches in it, and it's got some music in it. Just ones that, I've heard at entrepreneur events, or things that remind me of building a business and all that stuff. So, I definitely have the different playlists. I don't have the Pump It Up playlist. Maybe I should make one of those, like a excited, pump it up kind of thing. But I got like an entrepreneur one that has some songs and actually has a lot of motivational speeches, like if I'm driving,
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, it's basically the same sort of thing. You're using audio, sound energy, music and spoken word to inspire you, when you're driving and when you're doing different things. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing? We're listening to advertisements, and in between songs, and maybe some songs that don't really inspire us in between, the few that we hear that we like. So we might as well choose, what we want to listen to. Just like the food we put into our body, the sound we put into our body can make a big difference on our makeup and our success in life.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a couple songs. I don't know. You want to stay on this for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
What song is like your sad song? We'll start with that. For what's like like this is your go-to if you're feeling pretty bad, or you don't even need to be uplifted, but it's just you're in a sad mood. Like, what's a song that you go to?
Mine for me would actually be an old song from the 70s by Gilbert O'Sullivan, and it was called "Alone Again Naturally," and it's a sad song. If you listen to the lyrics and the music matches it, and when I was a kid, I was drawn to it. I learned the guitar solo on my guitar back then. It's a little acoustic guitar solo, and it was really, it moved me. I didn't need to feel sad at the time when I was growing up, when I first latched onto the song when it was new, but it just, I can, like you said, it just brings me back to that age when I was like 12, 13 years old, and like it was just really, I just recognized it as being very powerful.
Yeah. Mine is Caesar. It's called "Broken," featuring Amy Lee, and it was like the song of the 2000s, man. You know what I mean? Like it was that song. Like if you're in a bad breakup, that's the song you listen to, and everybody knew. They were like, "Oh," Like I could just, yeah, man. That was the song. What's your pump it up song? You want to get pumped and you're excited about something. You want the world to know how excited you are. What's a song for you?
Well, there's a couple of those. I mean, there's the Journey songs, "Don't Stop Believing" and "Any Way You Want It."
Yeah.
Pump it up songs. And then there's a song that many people might not be aware of called "Between the Lines," which is a song by Genesis from around 1980. And the lyrics aren't really like inspiring, pump it up, but the music is so incredibly powerful that, when I'm getting ready to do an interview, I'll often pop that on. Like the introduction is just like, and it's just, it's really powerful and it pumps me up and just, I don't know. I can't explain it. We all have our different music that we're drawn to and different songs, and it's really hard to put your finger on what it is about it, but we know when we hear it, that's it. That's our goosebump song, or that's our song that gets our heart pumping. That's the song that makes us relax, To everyone is to each their own, and that's why it's so great that there are so many different songs and styles of music in the world.
Yeah. I have two kind of go-to ones. So the first one is "Survivor," Eye of the Tiger, because I'm a huge Rocky fan. Love Rocky, man. As soon as that song hits, man, you just feel the goosebumps, and you're like, oh man, it's on now. Like it's on, You get the training montages, and like it's just on. Like it's going down. So every time I hear it, my wife's like, oh God. If there's a Rocky marathon on Saturday on TV, I'm probably not going to do much.
There were some great movies there. I mean, I'm inspired anytime I watch any of those movies.
Yeah, me too. And then another one is Bon Jovi, because I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan. "It's My Life." Gotta play that song. It's now or never, and it has those lyrics, that are just like, get moving. It gets you going. You listen to the song and you kind of believe in the lyrics a little bit. Yep. Those are my two like pumped up songs. And I saved the best for last.
Yes.
What is your go-to love song?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to have to go back to the song that was our wedding song, which is
there you go.
"Nothing's Going to Change My Love for You" by Glenn Medeiros.
Okay.
And that was a huge hit in the 80s, 86, 87, exactly before my wife and I met. And then the funny thing is, after we met, we got to meet Glenn Medeiros when he did a music show for a radio station over in New Jersey. And now he's actually, I think, principal at a school in Hawaii. So, he changed careers, later in life.
Wow.
But, he became an educator, which is awesome. But, that song, "Nothing's Going to Change My Love for You," was, my wife and I were both drawn to it. And there's many love songs that I love, whether it's something current or old classics by, Lionel Richie and different folks like that. But to me, any song that has a great melody, I'm hooked. The lyrics help, but the melody, it has to have a strong melody that draws me in, and then I just can't let go.
Love it. My go-to, like, when I think of love songs, and like you said, there's a lot. There's a lot, and I love the 80s for this because there were so many, and a few in the 90s, mostly 70s and 80s. I think the best era of music was probably either the 70s or 80s, man. It was raw. It was real. There was so much evolution between like I had Pete Evick on my show like a year or so ago. Pete Evick is Bret Michaels' guitar player for the Bret Michaels band, you know, also
Very
Poison.
cool.
And he hates being called a hair band. Like, we were not a hair band. It's not a thing. Like, we're not a hair band, you know, because that's like an album, the 80s hair bands. It was on TV at like 2 a.m., you know, call right now, 1-800 and get one copy free, you know, like that type of infomercial, you know. It was called, you know, the ballads or like any of that stuff, right? So he hates the hair band, but so much evolution in rock and in lyrics and even in country music. But my go-to, the love song that I think of if you're going to tell somebody you love would be Rod Stewart. Have I told you lately? Right?
Yeah, and that's a song I perform.
Deep in
when
that
I play it live. You know, it's very powerful, and it's just, you know, it's a standard, really.
Powerful.
You know, it's a standard now because so many people have sung it, and I'll be singing it as long as I can sing.
Oh yeah, very, very cool. Glad we could go there because I just believe that there's so many songs. I'm on this song right now, and you'll love this. This song. So I had a guy on my show, and his son had committed suicide because of bullying in school since 2019.
Jeez.
So The Greatest Showman comes out, and there's a song called "This Is Me."
Yes.
And it talks about, you know, they won't break me down to dust, and you know, they want him to hide. I mean, everybody kind of passes through the movie and like they enjoy it, but if you really listen to the lyrics of that song, "This Is Me," in The Greatest Showman, it's amazing. So I've been rocking that song out almost every day this year. You know, and I had some songs for the pandemic, and but that's kind of my kick right now is that song, and I love powerful songs. I just don't think the music that kids listen to today with whatever the rap music or whatever some of that rock is like screaming rock, and I mean I listen to a little bit of that, but like I gotta have powerful lyrics. You know, like that's what does it in a song for me is really powerful lyrics, and I'm not sure if that's one of the 88 ways that music can change your life, but for me, one way that music changes my life is the lyrics, and the more powerful and really direct lyrics that are written, I feel like that song is written for me. I feel like that song is written for my situation that I'm currently going through right now, and that's what makes it that memorable love song, the sad song, the pumped up song. I just think that the lyrics have got to be just that most powerful, gut-wrenching, heartstring tugging lyric combined with an amazing composer. Oh, man, it's amazing.
Yep, I mean, a powerful lyric is what makes a good song a great song. You know, you can have great music, but if you don't have a message behind it that people can relate to in their everyday lives, that they can, you know, latch on to and connect with, then it's really not going to last. And, you know, I mean, This Is Me, I mean, that's a goosebump song right there, my friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So one question I have for you is, how do you elevate the world around you? We talked about the music. We talked about all the way from the 80s and to the book and, you know, the songs that you've written and love songs that you have that you just Mr. Love Song, right? So go to lovesongs.com for the listeners who are just joining us. Go to lovesongs.com. Go check out what Vincent James has going on over there. And your favorite social media platform, Facebook or LinkedIn, keeps music alive. Go check out his mission. How do you elevate the world around you?
So we do that by, you know, in a positive manner, Sean, by trying to get more people encouraged and inspired to play music and to talk about the importance of music and to help get more music education happening in the schools. We do that by, as I mentioned earlier, we don't do any formal coaching, but we're always talking to people. And because we've had a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching for us, we've learned, we feel like we've learned a lot of things, and we try to share that knowledge, whether it's in person when we're talking to someone on the phone or online. I think it's important that, we take what we've learned and share it with others, and not in a, heavy-handed teaching way, but just in a like, hey, this is something that worked for me, maybe it'll work for you. I just think it's important to share knowledge so that, everyone's not starting from the beginning. If I had, had knowledge to latch on to, a younger age, if I'd been more opening to seeking out that knowledge. I mean, the Internet wasn't there, when I started out, or maybe it was the beginnings of the Internet, but, we have to have an inquisitive mind and a searching mind to go out and learn more. And that was really, I think, a downfall of my own, in many of my early years, and I try to teach that to our kids. You got to ask questions. You got to research. You got to learn more. Talk to someone. Oh, how did you do that? How did you make that happen? Or how does that work? So, we try to elevate by encouraging people to ask questions, encouraging people to learn more, and encouraging people to be present. We're all this digital world we live in. We're always so distracted, whether it's Zoom or Netflix or whatever it is. Our little games, we hold in our hands, our phone, that little computer we have in our hand, we carry with us everywhere we go. Sometimes we need to put that phone down and just be present with the people that we're with at the moment, because that's where the real human interaction, the real value happens. Is, building relationships one-on-one by being present with the people that you're in front of, that you're speaking with, and not allowing ourselves to being distracted. And, it's not easy in the beginning because we're so programmed to be with our devices. But I think if we practice being more present, we're going to elevate the people around us, because we're going to let them know that, that we care about them, because we're not allowing ourselves to be distracted by our devices. We're going to spend more quality time with our family members. We're going to reach out more to our friends, in a meaningful way, and connect with people, both now as we're coming out of the pandemic slowly, and then eventually when we get to actually go out and be amongst people again. I just think it's going to be ultra important, and I'm, planning on, pushing myself, a little one notch further from the introvert to the extrovert mode, to become more personable and connecting with people on a deeper level than I've done in the past.
Heck yeah, love it, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that too. I saw a video the other day that was so funny. The guy, I can't remember, John Christ, I think his name is, or something along those lines. And he's talking about, it was like, I was homeschooled since kindergarten. Like, you think, all these parents are getting mad about not going to school and all that. He's like, dear Jesus, we were homeschooled since day one. Like, it was just so funny. He's like, introvert? Shoot, man. I was an introvert my whole life because of homeschool. And it was just so funny. He's like, I don't know what y'all are freaking out about. This is paradise for me. It's just like, it was so funny. Talking about introverts and homeschool and, it's like, put on your favorite music and just rock it out. He's like, rocking it out, and he's just looking out the window, and he's like, this is a daily life for me. This has been my life, forever. It's kind of comical, but I'm like, I'm sure people think that way, too. People look at everybody going, oh, you can't go anywhere? I've been an introvert my whole life. Welcome to my world. It's for them. They're like, this is it.
It was definitely paradise for people that were more inclined to be that way. And it was, incredibly difficult for those to, live day to day connecting with people, in person. And we're all going to go through this change again, as we start to be able to venture out and, try to work those muscles, those connection muscles again.
Oh, yeah. Man, Vincent, this has been absolutely incredible. Loved our conversation. I feel like we could just keep going and going and going. But for the listeners, where do you want them to go to learn more about you and your mission?
The best place is probably keepmusicalive.org. That's keepmusicalive.org. And from there, you'll find out about our international music holidays, Teach Music Week in March, which is incidentally happening right now. and Kids Music Day in October, and also find out information about the book series as well.
Love it. Awesome. Well, this has absolutely been an amazing conversation, and I just wish you the best for the rest of Music Week and for the rest of 2021.
Well, thank you so much, Sean, for having me on. And I agree. Great conversation. Really enjoyed it. And you have an awesome rest of the week and a fun spring, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well. Live Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If any part of our conversation today with Vincent James here on Life Transformation Radio has inspired you or resonated with you, please reach out to him. Go to Music Alive right there on Facebook, right there on LinkedIn. Go to the website, keepmusicalive.org, and you can check out what he's doing at lovesongs.com. If you want some songs written for you and whatever you have going on for weddings and anniversaries or other special occasions, go to lovesongs.com. As for me, big announcement. A new host will be taking over come April 1st, so thank you for your support for all of the listeners, and more to come on that as we wrap up this season of Life Transformation Radio. As I close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart, and I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live an amazing life.